What France are doing shouldn't even be possible. French football has always been built around its biggest stars. Instead of sharing responsibility equally, they let their best players lead the team. It started with Just Fontaine dominating in the 1950s, then Raymond Kopa, followed by Michel Platini controlling games in the 1980s. After that came Zinedine Zidane, who became one of football's biggest icons. Now it's the Kylian Mbappé era. Mbappé is the captain and the face of modern French football.
And Mbappé! Elise allowed to go and feed it through for Bradley Barker. Elise, oh sweet, sweet. Mbappé is so sweet.
What we saw from Mbappé, what we saw from Elise, what we saw from everyone, it was just hard to ask for more from France.
Thierry said he will always score. He's only 27. He's going to bring more goals. We said that Messi is going to score goals, but in the end, Mbappé is going to beat that record.
Watching him attack open space almost feels unfair. His speed, movement, and calm finishing make him one of the most dangerous players in the world. It almost feels like Thierry Henry and R9 combined into one player. But France are much more than just Mbappé. Ousmane Dembélé has finally become the player people expected for years. After winning the 2025 Ballon d'Or, he's playing the best football of his career. Every time he gets the ball, defenders know something dangerous could happen. Then there's Michael Olise and Ryan Cherki. Olise plays with incredible calm, making everything around him look slower. He controls the tempo, glides through tight spaces, and his elegant style has reminded many people of Michel Platini. Olise's interviews, though, are a completely different story. Cherki brings a different kind of magic. His close control, creativity, fearless dribbling, and unexpected passes make him one of the most exciting players to watch. Sometimes he attempts things most footballers wouldn't even try. There are moments where his creativity reminds people of Zidane. Add Doué and Barcola, who have both been huge for PSG, and suddenly France have attacking depth that almost no national team can match. Les Bleus have stayed among the world's strongest international teams for decades, but their success follows a familiar pattern. Time after time, one superstar becomes the driving force behind the entire team. France's first golden generation arrived in the 1950s with Just Fontaine leading the attack. They became one of the most feared teams in world football, but after that, everything slowed down. During the 1960s and 1970s, France struggled badly. Their experienced players were past their best, and the squad lacked enough quality. They failed to qualify for the 1962 World Cup and the 1964 European Nations Cup. It was one of the toughest periods in French football. Everything changed when Michel Platini arrived. Platini inspired France back to the World Cup in 1978, ending a 12-year absence. Soon he became captain and carried the team in huge moments. One of the biggest came with his famous free kick against the Netherlands that helped France qualify for the 1982 World Cup. France then surprised everyone by reaching the semi-finals. Then came Euro 1984. Platini produced one of the greatest tournament performances ever. He scored 9 goals in just 5 matches and led France to their first major international trophy. He was easily the standout player, with even Pelé calling him the best European player of his era. But by the 1986 World Cup, injuries had caught up with him. Platini still contributed, but he wasn't the same unstoppable player. As his influence faded, France's results also declined. They missed the 1990 World Cup, exited Euro 1992 early, and then failed to qualify for the 1994 World Cup under Gérard Houllier. The disappointment became known as Les Bleus' American nightmare. Years later, France experienced another painful moment. At Euro 2020, Mbappé missed a penalty in the shootout against Switzerland, leading to a shocking exit. At that point, he was still growing into the leader he is today. Since then, he's gained experience and helped lead France to another World Cup final, proving he can deliver on the biggest stage. Looking through history, the pattern is hard to ignore. When France have a superstar performing at the highest level, they usually compete for every major trophy. When that player's influence drops, the team often struggles. After the disappointment of 1994, France found their next superstar in Zinedine Zidane. The squad already included experienced names like Eric Cantona, Laurent Blanc, and Didier Deschamps, but Zidane quickly became the future. At Euro 1996, France reached the semifinals, and Zidane showed flashes of the brilliance that would soon make him a global star. His performances made it clear that a new era had arrived. By the 1998 World Cup, Zidane had become the centerpiece of the team. France also had talented players like Patrick Vieira, Thierry Henry, and Robert Pires, but everything revolved around Zidane. They went unbeaten throughout the tournament before beating Brazil 3-0 in the final. Brazil arrived with R9, who many considered the best player in the world. But Zidane stole the spotlight by scoring twice in the final and leading France to their first World Cup. Just months later, he was named FIFA World Player of the Year. Zidane kept delivering. He guided France to another title at Euro 2000, making them the first team since West Germany in 1974 to hold both the World Cup and European Championship at the same time. France also climbed to #1 in the FIFA rankings and later won the Confederations Cup. Once again, their success was built around an extraordinary superstar. Today, that player is Mbappé. But there's always a risk with this approach. If the main star isn't fully fit or isn't playing at his usual level, the entire team can struggle. That's exactly what happened at the 2002 World Cup. Zidane was injured before the tournament, France failed to score in their opening 2 matches, and even after he returned, they couldn't recover. The defending champions were eliminated in the group stage. It felt very similar to what happened with Platini years earlier. By Euro 2004, Zidane was no longer at his absolute peak. He still produced memorable moments, including a brilliant free kick and a late penalty against England, but France were knocked out in the quarterfinals. After that tournament, Zidane retired from international football, bringing another legendary chapter in French football to an end. Without Zidane, everything started falling apart again. France were even struggling to qualify for the 2006 World Cup. They needed Zidane so badly that they convinced him to come out of international retirement. And when he came back, wow, he completely changed the team. He won the Golden Ball, led France all the way to the final, and reminded everyone why he was one of the greatest players ever. Of course, everyone also remembers the famous headbutt in the final. Even with that unforgettable moment, fans still appreciated everything Zidane did during that incredible tournament. But once he retired for good, France entered another difficult period. Between 2007 and 2015, the national team consistently underperformed. At Euro 2008, they finished bottom of their group despite having stars like Thierry Henry, Karim Benzema, Frank Ribéry, and Nicolas Anelka. On paper, the squad looked incredible, but on the pitch, nothing seemed to click. The talent was there, but the unity wasn't. Things got even worse at the 2010 World Cup. France crashed out in the group stage again, and this time, the problems behind the scenes became the biggest story. There was no clear leader, the dressing room was divided, and everything seemed to fall apart. Reports said Anelka was sent home after an argument with manager Raymond Domenech, and the situation became so serious that French President Nicolas Sarkozy even met with Thierry Henry to understand what had gone wrong. France had lost its identity. Everything started changing when Didier Deschamps took charge. He rebuilt the team around Antoine Griezmann, who became the player holding everything together. While Mbappé would later grab the headlines with his speed and goals, Griezmann provided the balance. He created chances, defended, linked midfield to attack, and worked harder than almost anyone else on the pitch. Players with that mix of talent and work rate are incredibly rare. Griezmann led France to the Euro 2016 final and later played a huge role in the 2018 World Cup. In the final against Croatia, he scored, provided an assist, and won man of the match as France lifted the trophy. Throughout his international career, he became one of France's most important players because of his consistency, intelligence, and leadership. Then came Kylian Mbappé, and everything changed again. At the 2018 World Cup, he was still a teenager, but he played with unbelievable confidence. His pace terrified defenders, and his performances announced him as football's next global superstar. He scored 4 goals, won the Young Player Award, and became one of the biggest reasons France were crowned world champions. That squad was packed with quality. Alongside Mbappé and Griezmann, there were stars like Paul Pogba, N'Golo Kanté, Raphael Varane, and Hugo Lloris. Every part of the team was filled with world-class talent, making France one of the strongest national teams in recent history. At Euro 2020, France looked like favorites once again. They topped a difficult group containing Germany, Portugal, and Hungary, but were surprisingly knocked out by Switzerland on penalties. Mbappé had a difficult match, and France couldn't recover from the late comeback. But they bounced back quickly. At the 2022 World Cup, France reached another final. Mbappé was sensational throughout the tournament, while Griezmann once again controlled games with his all-around performances. In the final, France struggled for much of the match before Mbappé almost rescued them on his own. He scored a stunning hat-trick against Lionel Messi's Argentina, won the Golden Boot, and collected the silver ball after one of the greatest World Cup final performances ever. When Griezmann retired from international football in 2024, France lost more than just a great player. They lost one of their biggest leaders and the man who brought balance to the entire team. Now, players like Michael Olise, Rayan Cherki, and Ousmane Dembélé are expected to provide that extra creativity around Mbappé. This current squad may actually have more talent than the 2018 team, but replacing leadership and chemistry is never easy. The reason France keep producing these incredible players isn't luck. It's the result of a system they've spent decades building. One of the biggest reasons is the famous Clairefontaine Academy, which opened in 1988. It has become one of the world's best player development centers. Instead of focusing only on winning youth matches, the academy focuses on developing complete footballers. Young players improve their technical ability, learn to use both feet, play comfortably in tight spaces, and adapt to different tactical systems. They also continue their education, helping them grow both on and off the pitch. France's scouting network is just as impressive. Talent is identified across the entire country, including smaller towns and diverse communities, giving gifted players every opportunity to succeed. Clubs are also encouraged to invest heavily in youth development, creating a production line of elite footballers. That's why France continue producing stars like Thierry Henry, Kylian Mbappé, Blaise Matuidi, Nicolas Anelka, and so many others. Their system doesn't just create great individuals, it creates players who know how to fit into a winning team. And when you look through history, one pattern always appears. There was Just Fontaine in the 1950s, then Michel Platini in the 1980s. After that came Zidane. Then Griezmann helped rebuild the team before Mbappé became the new face of French football. Every great French generation has had one superstar who inspired everyone else. Now that responsibility belongs to Mbappé. He's no longer just the young wonder kid. He's the captain, the leader, and the player the country looks to in the biggest moments. With stars like Dembélé, Olise, Cherki, Doué, and Barcola around him, France have another generation capable of competing for every major trophy. The legacy of Platini and Zidane isn't over. It's simply entered its next chapter, and now it's Mbappé's turn to write his own history. Will he add another World Cup and cement himself alongside the greatest legends France has ever produced? Only time will tell. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with another football fan. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Which French superstar had the biggest impact on the national team? And can Mbappé become the greatest of them all? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.